Hello and welcome to Integrated Rhythm, two swing dancing besties. That's myself, Bobby White, and Tosomo Salamani. Talk about race and other fun topics in the swing dance scene. We have an incredible episode for you today, but first we need to apologize. It's been a few months since we put out an episode. That's due to a myriad of reasons. First off, Tosomo Salamani is now an author. She and a few fellow speech pathologists put out a book called Speech Language Therapy as a Global Practice. That just came out a few months ago. That's amazing. Hooray, 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 Tosomo. That's one reason why she's been pretty busy. I've had a crazy travel year. It's been actually a little too much, and it's been hard to have some free time. And then finally, the most important reason why we don't have an episode is because our planned episode disappeared. Last month's episode was just gone, vanished from the records. We don't know how it happened. It's almost as if someone went onto my device and deleted it, because there's no other reason why it should be gone. I still can't for the life of me wonder how it happened, and I'm still hopeful that maybe it's just in some random folder somewhere that my ADHD brain forgot about, even though I've searched every folder on every device that I have. So that is a sadness indeed. But don't worry, we have a fun one this week, and we have a killer, super killer episode coming up soon. I'll go ahead and drop it. I'll drop the name. We're going to do Lynn D&D. That's right. We did a D&D game based on some Lindy Hop stuff with some incredible Lindy Hop instructors. And it was a great time. And that episode is almost ready to come out. We just got to finish some editing touches. We want to make sure we get that one nailed perfectly audio-wise. So that's coming up soon. Yay, exciting. Hopefully that makes up for our lack of episodes that came out in the last month. Again, we do apologize. We're going to try to catch up and keep it coming. For this week, though, we have the incredible DOMINIC HANNA, a Balboa professional instructor, and Matt RICHEY, a professional Balboa instructor. We met with them at the Great Lakes Balboa Escape, a great event, and we got to chat with them about why they fell in love with Balboa, what missions they have as teachers in the scene. A lot of times we as teachers have missions based on what we're seeing in the scene and what we want to change. And we also talked to them about how it can be welcoming for them, what makes a welcoming scene for both a Black American instructor, which DOMINIC is, and a queer instructor, which Matt RICHEY is. So let's get to it.
Integrated Rhythm with Tosomo and Bobby.
How did you fall in love with Balboa? That seems like a strange thing for someone to fall in love with.
Yeah, and yet here I am.
Could I ask a little background question? Like,
Sure.
who are you? Where are you from?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I grew up on the south side of Texas, and no, I'm just playing. My name is Dominic. I am from the Bahamas, an island called Grand Bahama to be specific, a settlement called Freeport, Grand Bahama to be even more specific. Small island. I think the statistics said 50,000 people at the time. And so I grew up there. I left there at 18 to go to school. I went to school in Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama to be specific, and that's where I discovered Balboa by chance. So I started with a ballroom dancing, intro to ballroom dancing club in my transitional year between undergrad and grad school. And then I was looking for credits, 2 credits, because I needed them to keep a specific scholarship. And I was like, I'm not trying to do nothing crazy. I'm just trying to get done with undergrad and be out of this place. So I was like, dance is great. We should do that. And so I did that and got the 2 credits. We did a ton of intro to ballroom stuff. So rumba, foxtrot, waltz, we did a thing we called swing. It had triple steps. It had 6 counts. It was a ballroom version of swing.
Okay.
And so, from that, one of my classmates was like, "Oh, they have a swing dance. It's called, TNS, and it's every Thursday." And I was like, she's like, "We don't need to go to the beginner lesson. Let's just show up." You know what I'm saying? And I was like, "I bet." And then we got there, and it was like 10 minutes left in the beginner lesson. I was like, "Fuck!" What? they're doing cool shit. I mean, at the beginner lesson, I'm like, yo, I don't know about you, but I should have definitely came here earlier, like an hour earlier. And that's when I decided I will be back and I will take the beginner lesson. Balboa specifically, that was like 3 months in, because I learned it because everybody, when a certain type of music came on that had a certain groove, a certain rhythm, sometimes a certain speed, everyone would dance Balboa. What I've come to know is Balboa. and I just knew it as that thing everyone did when a certain type of song came on that looked like magic, because I had no idea how the lead and follow worked. So I was like, this doesn't make sense. Or this shouldn't be working. This looks crazy. And so like a ton of people like Erica and Adam, Kirsten and Craig, Katie and Joe, who were my initial like mentors, they invested so much into me. Among a lot of other people, including peers people I consider peers, they were doing this thing, and I was like, okay, I have to learn it. Hey, Matt. I have to learn
we
it.
have a guest. Someone's knocking at the door in a snowstorm like this.
Ding dong.
So yeah, that's how I got into it. Then there was a social dance. David Ream came into town and did like a day workshop. I didn't go to that because it was intermediate, and I was like, there's no chance I'm going because I'm solidly beginner, not even. But I went to the social dance. I saw people there doing cool things. A friend of mine, Andrew Reed, was doing it. I knew him before. I didn't even know he danced, but I knew him from college. And I was like, yo, you do this? Like, this is crazy. Like, and so then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try to like really delve into this dance art form. That's kind of where it all started. Yeah. That was like 2015.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think for those of us who are listening who know of the professional international Lindy Hop instructor and also Balboa instructor.
Oh, that's a different one.
Andy Reid. This is Andrew Reid.
Yeah.
He is of the melanated persuasion.
Indeed.
Dominic and I are also descended from Africa. So
Yeah.
just in case people are like, oh my gosh, Dominic went to school with Andy Reid. I just wanted to make it clear.
That would be crazy. That would be crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so what made you fall in love with it?
Well, the aesthetic of it at the time, when I first saw it, I'd see people dance it socially. I was like, yeah, it looks like magic to me. I don't understand how it's happening. It's very cool. Everything seems very connected. There's a lot of momentum involved. People seem to be having fun doing it. And everybody did it in a different style, at least in the scene that I was at. And I was just like, yeah, I kind of want to know. It was more like a curiosity thing. And then when I fell in love with it was when after a few months of working on Pure Bal, the feel of it kind of clicked in. And I was like, oh, okay. It looks cool, but there's a lot of this that feels really cool. And that's kind of that addictive feeling of a well-connected dance, right? Even if you're just doing Pure Bal and Outlands, which is what I was mostly working on at the beginning, it feels really, really good. And I also have a blues background, so I'm very into that like super connected, close embrace type feel. It feels a lot different in Bal, but I have a special place in my heart for blues dancers who now dance Bal. Their connection just feels different in a good way.
Absolutely. Matt Ritchie!
Hey.
How did you meet Balboa?
How did I meet Balboa? I started dancing when I was super, super young. And I went to my first event when I was 12 years old.
Oh, shoot.
And that event was something you may be familiar with. It's called Camp Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And one of those first classes that first time was with a dancer named Sylvia Sykes.
Hey.
And somewhere along there, I kind of like thanked her for the class, got to know her by name. She knew me by name. And then I watched her dance later that evening. And I was like, what is this thing? Why is it different? I want to move that fast. And why does it look like they're floating?
Yeah.
And it was a very unpopular decision because all the other like baby dancers and high schoolers thought it was ridiculous that I loved this dance so much. And they kind of made fun of my friend and I for it because like we then got a DVD and then went home and then would practice all the time, but no one else would even touch it or like humor the idea. Because they're like, it looks like you're just standing there and doing this. And literally they wouldn't even move their feet. They just like shimmy their shoulders. Like no movement. And I was like, no, it's not that.
That's wild.
Especially when I do it, my steps were huge. But the idea in my head was like, they look like they're floating. They're moving like a piece of silk or weighted silk in the wind. And there was something to that was just really fascinating to me. So I took a Balboa workshop maybe 6 months later from some NorCal dancers. Emma and Chris Farrell, Emma Farrell from San Francisco-ish area. And they were like best friends with Randy and Kara. And we're like, you should come out and do this thing with Randy and Kara. And then I took their class right after. And then it all kind of snowballed from there and continued. But the access was very limited for a long time. And it truly was like every Tuesday at 4 p.m., practice Balboa for 3 songs with my friend Tasha, and then continue about my day.
Nice. And you kind of mentioned, I think maybe I got this from your answer. What made you fall in love with it, if anything different than those things that made you just get really interested in it?
I mean, as soon as I started playing with the idea of moving that way, it just like scratched an itch I didn't realize I had, something about fast movement and flow. And it was just such a unique way of expressing myself that felt somehow very foreign, and yet it fit very comfortably.
Nice. Lovely.
Yeah. Bobby, what made you fall in love with Balboa?
Oh, man. I was thinking that since we're running short on time, I wouldn't necessarily like dive in too much into this one. I'll do it super quick though.
Okay.
I was in an early phase of my dancing life where I just loved it all. Like I saw, Harlem style Lindy Hop and was like, that's amazing. And then I saw like really good people do Southern California style Lindy Hop. And I was like, that was amazing. And you see really good people do Balboa. And you're like, that's amazing. You see really good people do Shab. You're like, that's amazing. And I was really fortunate to have a dancer named Kate Hadeen who was she wasn't in Atlanta. She was going to college, but her parents lived in Atlanta. So she would come home during college breaks and dance in Atlanta. And all of a sudden, like every school break, there would be this really fun, awesome dancer who would come to town, and she took pity on me and took my like 18 count come around that I learned from an Eric and Sylvia video
18 counts as well.
and made it like the perfect 8 count toss out, because you go 1, 2, 3, and then eventually you would end it sometime.
Some sort of count in there.
You would feel it.
Kept rolling.
I was organic about it. I didn't try to confine myself to a box. It was because she was like, oh, I think you would enjoy this, and you're already getting the basic idea, and you're willing to work with me. She kind of like showed me the ropes of how great it could feel, because in Atlanta there wasn't a whole lot about Boa, and so like she was like, she was the person importing the like special exotic thing that no one else knew how to do and didn't understand it very well. And I didn't understand it very well until she was able to like kind of like say, this is kind of what it's about. The feeling here, the feeling there, lots of rotation. Try to keep it in 8 counts for your toss out, And I fell in love with it that way.
Well, and she was going to school in Cleveland, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think she was working with Valerie Sahlstrom.
Yep, she was working with Valerie Sahlstrom, Marty.
Yeah.
Klimpner.
Yeah. And they had worked with Maxie and so she was coming to my hometown, learning from these amazing dancers, and then going to her hometown. And
absolutely.
Look at that. That's amazing. Cool.
All right. So as instructors, professional Balboa instructors, what is, this happens a lot, by the way, dear readers, this happens a lot with instructors or whatever. It's like we're in the scene, we've been in the scene for a while, and sometimes we have little missions or like things that we notice that we kind of like hope to bring to the table or hope to offer to the scene as a whole, like in our classes, that kind of stuff. We were just interested to know if there was any missions that you're kind of like as a teacher that you're kind of working on, or things that you're hoping to pass on to the students that you feel is needed, or something that you see?
Yeah, there's a lot of missions. I have an answer ready because I answered this question earlier, not from them, but from another person. I would say 2 of mine are to get people to establish a greater degree of patience when it comes to rhythm and groove, and spending time in a particular groove. Not to say that doesn't happen, but I'm on a mission to see it happen more. And also, I really enjoy subtlety in totality, and I'm on a mission to like increase awareness and appreciation for how good that sort of thing feels. Again, not to say I've never seen it in the scene, but I want to see more of it. So those are 2 easy ones for me.
I feel like this list could either be really long or summed up with a couple words. So I'll go somewhere between. But I feel like I want to see more personality, but you could also hear that as like individuality. And part of that is like focus on the feel, not on the aesthetics. Because the aesthetics can't get you that, and they can't get you far. And I feel like in the era of things like YouTube and videos, we have all this access now, and I don't want to see that copy and paste. I want to see you put some you in your dancing. And when you think about feel, that doesn't distract from the you-ness necessarily. And so I try to be very thoughtful in the way I present things or critique things or look at things, because I'm like, I mean, I don't want you to dance like me. One of me is already too much, you know? So, but if you want that feel, like, let's get into it and then put some you on top of that feeling.
That's dope. Yeah.
Also, one of you is perfect.
Thank you.
And it's Matt Ritchie.
Oh my God, Dominic.
I love that. You know, it's so, when you think about the original dancers and how like very few of them had like mirrors bigger than a hallway mirror, you know, or than a vanity mirror. And on top of that, they definitely didn't have video cameras to watch themselves or to see. Mm-hmm. And so like all of the styling that you see from those dancers, so much of it had to have been shaped by just the feel of just like expressing a feeling. And yeah, maybe they tweaked it here or there in a mirror or took some friends' advice, but like on the whole, you just see you can't help but think that so much of it was individuality via feel and personal inspiration.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Raw expression.
Yeah. Honestly, I wanted to say something based on what you said. You were saying that like in this era of YouTube and social media in general, I feel like that's one of the obstacles that subtlety face. I guess it's a pro and a con. Like when I think about subtlety, and a lot of that doesn't show, right? It is a feeling thing. And so I guess it's a plus in that you got to come try it and see why people are curious about this, see why this feels so good. And then the downside is, how do we get people to be curious about that if they don't really have a visual reference point in this age of social media for how something like that might feel.
It's like, trust me, you're going to love this dance. You got to practice it for a few years.
Right.
And then when you dance it and you're in the perfect headspace with the right relaxation in your body, it's going to blow your mind.
Just wait. Just wait.
Right. It's crazy.
That's so funny. And also it's funny that I talk about like media, because let me tell you, I'm up in here all over Dom's videos. Like, I mean, I've told you this 100 times. I'm like, I am at least half of your views, I think. I go back and revisit and I'm like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, this is a great time to give us your Instagram handles online so you can follow these incredible dancers. They put out great content, really enjoyable content.
Dominic L. Hanna. L is my middle initial.
And the Hanna with 2 N's.
Hanna with 2 N's.
And
No H on the end.
H on the end. Yeah.
You can type in Matt Ritchey, RICHEY, but my handle is Digga
Very easy to remember.
Yes. Like the song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With an S.
Yeah, he does this, in case y'all didn't know.
Oh, man. All right. So let's see. So Dominic, who might have to run relatively soon just because he's got finals in a slow bow contest here at Great Lakes Balboa Escape. By the way, we're recording this at Great Lakes Balboa Escape. Thank you, Great Lakes, for the room and the opportunity to bring us together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great Lakes Balboa Escapes for all your Balboa needs in Chicago every September-ish.
Yeah. End of September.
Every
Yeah.
end of September. It's a good time.
Facts.
So Dominic, as someone who identifies as a Black American, Black man, what makes an inviting scene for you, or what makes an inviting dance scene?
Yeah, there's a few things. I'll touch on the ones that come to mind first. So I think like as a baby dancer, like 10 years ago, when I baby partner dancer, because I always moved. I think the community that I came up in was we danced, and there were classes and there were social dances and all that, but there was a lot of hangout time apart from the dance where like we kind of got to know each other as people, and of course, people have separate interests within that group, and you'll have like, smaller groups that break off and do their own thing. But there was always a larger group where everyone was invited. Not everybody always went to whatever the thing is that we were doing, restaurant, picnic, whatever, but everybody was invited. So that was a space that was held for everybody who heard the announcement and some who didn't to come out and just hang out and just chill, have a good time. So like that community aspect of it outside of dance does a big role. As I progressed in my dance journey, I think a big thing that comes to mind for me is like I don't actually want to be hired or praised or admired or for being Black. I want to work just as hard as all the people I consider peers and all the people I look up to, and I want to be all those things because I'm good, right? I happen to be Black as well, right? I want to be, if someone is going to look up a video of me or someone's like, oh, I want to be like, yeah, like that's dope. And at the same time, I do identify as Black, and that's an important part of my identity. And there's a lot of history there. And I'm also Black and Bahamian from the island. So there's a whole lot of history there as well. Even in the way I move, that influences that. And so, yeah, that's kind of a rambly answer, but I think one of the main things that, like, on this stretch of my journey, sometimes I get a little insecure. I'm like, man, am I placing in contests or filing in contests or getting hired because I just happen to check this box and I'm like functional, or like, am I actually dope? I think I'm dope. I mean, I don't know what other people think.
I'm pretty sure every single one of us at this table thinks you're very dope. I don't mean to speak for everyone else, but
Yeah.
Sorry.
If you can't tell by the way I try to copy your stuff very poorly, but I do. Hopefully that gives you some of it.
You and I really did something, and I don't think we got to discuss that offline, but I don't think we ever like collabed on that. But I was like, yo, Allison and I have video of that from like months ago where like we're doing not the same thing, but it's similar. And I'm like, yo, how? We got to talk.
I'm telling you, we do got to talk because
Yo.
the love will just keep going. Oh, I can't wait.
But yeah, so, and then another thing that makes me feel welcome is obviously seeing representation is important. Like in One Voice, I'm saying, yeah, like, and I don't think I'm unique in this where like, I don't think other people of color, other Black people just want to be accepted or promoted simply because they're Black, right? I think it's like they want to be accepted because of who they are as people, and they don't want their Blackness to get in the way of things that other people are experiencing that are good, where that seems to be the only other variable, if that makes sense. The only variable that's different. Yeah?
Yeah.
If that makes any sense at all.
It does. I mean, I think about, like, this is a thing that has been talked a lot about in the Lindy Hop scene. I think maybe we've not talked about it as much in the Balboa scene, but like seeing Black women on the side of a dance floor, right? Like you have someone who is just as good or maybe even better than a lot of the folks who are getting asked to dance and just being passed over and over and over again, right? So it's like that one variable that you mentioned is present, but could be getting in the way of engaging in community in kind of in a typical way. Yeah.
And not to overspeak, but you reminded me of something. And I don't know if you share this experience being from Zambia, but I didn't actually, this will sound weird, but even after I came to America in 2011, I was 18, I didn't know I was Black. which is kind of crazy. Like I didn't wear my color in the same way. Like I kind of feel my blackness now in a different way. Like having spent like almost 15 years in America at this point. I honestly didn't even understand like what until I went to HBCU my first 3 years of college, and until I hung out with some people who grew up in America and like who had a different experience than I did. I was like, oh, okay, I wouldn't say, oh, I fully get it now, because I still grew up. I spent 18 years of my life in a place where everybody was black. Like we had some people who looked like Bobby in our classes, but like they were the minority. And the funny thing is we didn't know they were white type thing. Like it was more like, we had a name for them, an affectionate name. We call them Conky Joes in the Bahamas. But they talk like us, everything like us. They just happen to be white, right? Because of, colonization and things that happen.
Not to step around the eggshells in the room, but the colonialism.
Yeah. But so that whole thing of like, navigating that as well. I'd say for the most part, I do feel pretty welcome in the scene, and people are kind. And I ask for real feedback, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like at a number of avenues, people have given me that. And in certain situations, I can tell that either the admiration or the goodwill or the questions, how do you do this, is genuine. And so all that sort of stuff, like, makes me feel seen and kind of like, oh, so you see the difference in what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to put out, and you kind of see like, where I stand on that, and you're curious about it, at the very least, interested, maybe. And so, that sort of thing is validating. And that's actually why I'm a super competitive person, but when it comes to dance, I'm not really in the competition to win. I'm more so, I really want to show what I like about the thing. So if you're ever judging me, I had somebody who was like, they were like, I put you in finals. No way. I was like, if you didn't, that's fine. I'm no judgment, right? Like, because I've been judging before. Yeah. And I meant to not put friends in finals. Because like, you can only put so many people in finals.
Alas.
Roundly answer, but hopefully there's some info in there.
I mean, to just add to what you're talking about, this concept of blackness, like there wasn't a mirror held up to you for 18 years saying like there's something different about you in comparison to everybody else. Yes. And so I have family members for whom that's the case, because they came over to the United States when they were older. One of my cousins, she and I had a conversation about this. She was like, I don't understand exactly what you said. I don't understand like what it means to be black in the US in the same way. And she was here for undergrad, grad, and maybe a little bit longer than that. But so that was like maybe 6 years of her life total, and she's 39. But like for myself, I first left Zambia when I was 18 months old. And so, and then I went back to Zambia when I was 4. So I've always been strange to everybody.
That's a whole different situation.
It's different. So I had a mirror telling me all the ways that I was different. And so I do share that sense of double or triple consciousness that Black Americans experience. And oftentimes, like, as you mentioned, your other friends probably from the Caribbean who grew up here, right? And so but I can understand your side of the conversation also, because there's a bit of my toe that's dipped in as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
Matt, as someone who identifies as queer, what's a welcoming dance scene look like to you?
Oh, man. So many feelings, so little time. But if I think of like experiences that I relate to or that I see that feel welcoming, sometimes it's about like a friendly face saying hi to you, even if you don't look like everybody else in the room, as something really simple, as maybe more complicated. If I go to a dance venue, you can be like a certified queer space in the States on Yelp. You get a little sticker, and if I see that sticker on the door, you get my gay dollars. If you even have some sort of policy on your website, if you are a club or a member, those are things that make me feel like someone there is going to have some sort of allyship and I'm going to feel welcome or like I can express myself a little more freely. But I also think there's something to be said about like the way we model the dance. And if the community took some opportunities to maybe teach things in reverse or from the other person's point of view, or maybe if you primary lead, you teach the basic footwork as a follow and then switch, or anything that just makes it seem a little less strange. I'm also coming into this with the weight of a professional dance teacher because I'm in a lot of classrooms and it means a lot to me to take that uncomfortable moment away from one of my students. So if you're a dance educator or promoter, if you notice someone saying something like, oh, what do you mean you're going to follow? I try to hop over there really quick and I insert myself in a way that'll just kind of defuse so they don't have to answer. Or if I notice this person is doing a role and then someone asks or tries to like probably help with the numbers and be like, oh, why don't you follow me? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, they're leading. And I try to help take some of that discomfort away. I think that that's been definitely like little things that made me feel more comfortable over the years and things that I've seen to make things more comfortable. But I also want to acknowledge like there's so much more beyond that. I am still a cis white man, which comes with its own levels of privilege. And I know people who live beyond the binary. They're somewhere in between. And even that can be complicated. Or I had a conversation with some new friends from this weekend about restrooms and being pretty openly, publicly queer. I'm always super uncomfortable in restrooms because people sexualize it in some sort of way. So if I know I can avoid that feeling and go somewhere else, I feel 100 times better. And then said person I was talking to had an experience where someone walked in and they did the, oh, I must be in the wrong room and quickly exited. It's like, that's super uncomfortable and that's super awkward. And then you dig into even more layers of trans visibility and trans people of color. And the more you can make that little effort of like saying hi, starting with that person, those are small acts. But I think progress, not perfection, comes to mind. And it's about trying to move forward or do the thing. And it's an imperfect journey. But every little piece is going to keep someone around a little longer.
Yeah, I think it's easy for some people to, and maybe not wanting to step on toes or say the wrong thing, they just ignore the problem totally, maybe, or they just like, I'm sure other people are saying hi to that new person who walked into the room, so they got it covered, that kind of thing.
I don't want to call them the wrong pronouns, so I'm just going to avert eye contact. It's like, there's so many other options.
Yeah.
Like, hey, friend, what's your name? It's a good start. Or anything in those line, general idea. You can kind of take that into your next conversation. Maybe that'll help, or maybe that conversation will roll from there.
And my dance partner is summoning me for the finals.
All right, Dominique is off to the finals of the Slow Balboa contest. Let's everyone wish Dominic a good dance.
Yes. Ruth is great. That's my partner.
Dance slowly.
Yes. I'll double time it all.
Hey.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. It is. I was just teaching my students about microaggressions, micro insults. I can't remember the third one, micro protections and micro validations. And like part of what happens, so what's important with like the micro protections piece or micro validations is like acknowledging and like genuinely complimenting, bringing awareness, and for yourself also developing a critical consciousness of what other people are experiencing. And so when you develop a critical consciousness of like a minoritized group, like a group that has been historically excluded, that then takes some of the burden off of that group to explain themselves. And so for people who are already kind of pushing against the assumed norm, it can be really exhausting to have to explain over and over again, like, these are my pronouns, this is my name, this is how you treat me. Instead, it would be good for us to try and, like you said, progress, like try, make mistakes, get over ourselves, apologize, keep trying, keep moving. It's imperfect progress. Yeah.
Beautifully put.
Thanks. I just taught that lesson last week. So in a couple months, you'll be like, you talked about this thing. I'll be like, what are you talking about?
That's frustrating.
Yeah.
All right, let's end with a fun question, I think, is a lot of times when people see dancers that are as good as Matt or Dominic, who is not here in the room, so he won't answer this question, but when you see dancers that are as good, no matter what level, I promise you they're working on stuff. So, Matt, do you mind sharing maybe what some of the stuff you're working on in your own dancing to our dear listeners?
Oh, gosh, yeah. I am a practiceaholic, so I almost guarantee this will change in about 10 days. But I'm currently working on playing with more texture and how that can affect or not affect a dance. So anything with extreme contrast, fast lows, high lows, etc., is something that I'm using, but I'm trying to put them in the context of a very simple thing. So a less is more type approach. So just a basic for an entire song, but with contrast. Don't change the rhythm, don't change the pacing. And it is a challenge, but then I'm starting to find more and more ways that feel good to express myself that didn't exist before. So it's been really interesting.
I love that. A lot of times when you watch someone do the basic over and over and over again, and you're mesmerized by it and you're amazed at it, it's that kind of stuff that's the reason why, is that like each basic is different. Each basic is part of what you're feeling. And that's fantastic. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
And Bobby, what are you working on right now?
Let's see. In my Balboa, I'm working on trying to get my sense of swing in my legs a little bit more obvious, like literally letting the relaxation in my legs and like the pendulum swing of the weight of my foot from my knees and stuff, trying to let that really kind of like flow through the space. I think I'm too deliberate of a stepper in a weird, if that's a very specific way of putting it. I think I'm too deliberate of a stepper that like my muscles are trying to accomplish the task rather than letting physics and relaxation accomplish that task. And the more I work on it, the more I see the kind of stuff that a lot of my favorite dancing inspirations do. Like that swing is there and like the way that they move. And I think, again, it goes back to that same thing. Like when you see someone do out and ins over and over again and they're kind of mesmerizing, a lot of times because it has that really satisfying sense of swing to it. So that's what I'm working on.
Yeah, I appreciate this question because you're right. I think there's a sense that we have an imaginary mountain that called swing that we want to climb, and we want to get to the zenith and conquer swing. But rather, I think swing is like an ocean. It's like a sea, and you're constantly kind of like ebbing and flowing in that tide and figuring out more things about swing. And so I appreciate the fact that you all shared those things so that hopefully our listeners who think like, oh, there's a point when you have mastered it and it is done and it is finished and I am the best, and that is not the point.
I used to believe that. But then again, to like that young Matt brain, I was like, these people are rock stars. there comes a time where you never have to practice again. You're just automatically going to make finals. Everything gets easy. And then I hit this point and I was like, wait, why is it so easy? Because I just feel like I'm barely hanging on and barely getting in and barely, oh, actually, I think maybe that's the norm. And there's a certain level of the work is never done, whether it's the perfectionist mindset or satisfaction, or maybe you're just refinding your love for the dance. And so it's going to grow.
Yeah. As a fellow practice-holic, the thing that I love in practice is that almost meditative exploration of like a thing and like of a new aspect of the dance. And, sometimes I'm like, do I just have like, does the ADHD just cause me to just like always want to move on and work on a new thing? And maybe that's part of what's going on. But like the mountain, like for me, like the mountain analogy is like the mountain is always foggy that you're climbing up. Like you don't see the top really. You just kind of start climbing, or maybe you see the top in the distance, but there's a lot of fog between you and the top. And if you do get to the top, what you find is a mountain range of foggy mountains all around you, and you can go down and climb up another mountain and just kind of like keep climbing up. There's always a foggy mountain for you to climb up, folks.
Yeah, heard it here.